Whew, my right foot is tingly, and I don't know why. It's got like a little numb stuff going on. Woo! Woo! This is going to be a fun video. Good morning, Mario, and good morning, Switch fans. My right foot is numb, but I promise you, this video is not dumb. We've got a big November surprise for Nintendo, and I think you're going to want to talk about this with me. Plus, new game announcements, always a good thing, and one that came out of nowhere. November, the surprise, is here. So what's going on, everybody? It's Zach from SwitchForce. Hope you're doing good. I'm doing good. The hair, I think when the hair is good, the mood is good. There's some correlation between the protein strands atop my scalp and the feelings inside my heart. So just wanted to put that out there. I'm doing good. Hope you are as well. Thanks for being here. Hit that like button. Let's go right into it. All right, Nintendo November. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That's sort of the big deal, right? Bayonetta 3 is out. November is where Nintendo goes gangbusters. Or do they? Because they just have Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Now, it's funny to say just Pokemon Scarlet and Violet because not only are these massive sellers, like you're guaranteed 20 mil out of these games, but they're the biggest Pokemon has ever been. So it's Nintendo's biggest selling franchise outside of Animal Crossing and their biggest version of that best-selling franchise. So they do have November covered, but I'm talking about two surprises. One that has been officially teased and one that has been heavily rumored to the moon and back. Okay, probably beyond the moon. What's the next one out there? Mercury? Is it Jupiter? Anybody got like the planets tattooed in order so we can memorize them? I don't know. It does not matter, but there are potentially two major November surprises. And let's be honest, Nintendo has been really quiet as of late. Yeah, they announced a new Switch Online game trial. They're messing with their YouTube channel name. Bayonetta 3 has got a few trailers. Fire Emblem gets some tweets, but Nintendo, in terms of new, they're zipped. And when Nintendo is zipped, I feel like they're like a piñata. That means it's about to burst. The quiet usually precedes the announcement. Before we dive into that fully, though, let me tell you that Somerville is coming November 15th. Now, you might be like, no, Zach, summer was past. It's now fall and winter. No. Somerville is the games and the people that made Inside. And if you don't know about Inside, you got to know about Inside. It's on Switch. It's usually cheap. Like, the game sometimes is like $3 or something. It has one of the craziest endings, most memorable endings in any video game ever. I promise you, I can't spoil it. I won't say anything. It just is that darn good, and it is life-changing. You'll never forget the images you see at the end of Inside. Also, the entire game is just fantastic. These are side-scrolling puzzle platformers with so much atmosphere, you'll literally feel sucked in. Part of your soul might be stuck in the game. That's a warning. But Somerville is coming out Xbox first. Now, we do have Limbo and Inside on Switch, so I'm hopeful that Somerville, after its early Xbox exclusivity, will make its way to Switch. TBD on that, but this game looks fantastic, and I might review it anyways. For Switch, we do have Wavetail, though. This comes from Thunderful and Zoink Games. Now, if you don't know about Zoink Games, they made that one called Stick It to the Man. And then they also made that one called Flipping Death. And they have a new game called Wavetail that actually came out last year on Stadia. Meaning, like, I don't know, one person in your entire state probably played it. But now it's coming to Switch December 12th, which looks good. It's like a Zelda on the water with more of an emphasis on traversal and family, still with some combat and bosses. It looks really nifty. It got pretty good reviews, and I'm eager to see how they've worked it for the Switch. I think it could be a fun one, and December 12th is a day before my birthday, so I got time to play it. Let me know if you're interested in either of those games, Somerville or Wavetail, in the comments down below. But back to Nintendo's November, all right? The first thing that we know is going to get shooted at us this November is Bond. James Bond. GoldenEye. I mean, they have set up the scales perfectly to drop the weight of GoldenEye on the N64 Games Pass expansion pack service thing online, the virtual console that they will never call virtual console. It's coming, and it's got to be announced this month. Why? Because they're busting out Mario Party 1 and 2 on November 2nd. That was announced last week while I was away, but it's coming November 2nd as a 2-pack, meaning they're out of games for 2022. Cue graphic where they showed the N64 titles for 2022 and the N64 titles for 2023, they're out. So we got something for December. unless they're gonna just, I don't know, cheers with Santa and sip hot cocoa all month, it probably means GoldenEye is December, and we should get that announcement in a couple of weeks here. It's a nice November surprise for a game that's probably the most anticipated of this entire expansion pack service. GoldenEye with online multiplayer has got to be the killer app for this expansion pack. Like when expansion pack first came out and they were like N64, Sega Genesis, whoop whoop, this is like the big deal. Obviously, you know, getting Majora's Mask on there is really cool, and getting Mario Kart 64 with multiplayer is nice, especially after they fix the fog. It's really great to have a lot of Nintendo's nostalgic mainstays, but GoldenEye is the one. So I'm anticipating that in a couple weeks after Mario Party drops on November 2nd, we will get the da-da-da-da announcement, and you'll get to play that in time for Christmas. And it's nice because Nintendo, they need something. December's feeling a little bit light. We know Fire Emblem Engage starts the next year. Super cool. But that brings me to what is beyond Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Okay, so that's pretty much a guaranteed surprise. I'm telling you, there's a 99% chance that GoldenEye is announced, because what else is December? They've kept a nice month after month consistency. Even when they pop Pokemon Puzzle League out of thin air, they've kept their regular routine and schedule. So GoldenEye seems all but assured for later this year. Now, the big, giant ball in the room is Metroid Prime. Man, this saga has been insane, okay? I did a little bit of a walk down memory lane, and this game has supposedly been done for eons. Okay, we know that Metroid Prime is a big part of the Switch's life cycle. Maybe the very end of the life cycle, but Metroid Prime 4 has been in the works for a while now. And apparently Metroid Prime needs to come back before Metroid Prime 4 can reintroduce itself. And people like Jeff Grubb, Wario64, Emily Rogers, all these people have talked at times about how this game is coming. A lot of the biggest leakers in the Nintendo space, journalists too, have said Metroid Prime is coming. And as recently as the last Direct, Jeff Grubb was convinced Metroid Prime would be out this holiday season. After the Direct, there's a little caveat like maybe it's coming next year, but I wanted to see, is it possible that Nintendo could still drop it, because they really have emptied the calendar after Pokemon and before Fire Emblem. So I went and I looked and I said, okay, man, this has been quite the journey. Back in 2021, Emily Rogers said development was wrapped on Metroid Prime. Jeff Grubb said the same thing, that the game was completely done. As early as 2019, we saw listings pop up in Best Buy's system that it was going to be the trilogy. That was reduced back down to just Metroid Prime 1, and this entire year they've been saying it's done, it's coming, it's done, it's coming. The anniversary at the end of this year for Metroid Prime, boom, they're gonna bring out the game remastered and better than ever before. Paper Mario and the Origami King was announced about 2 months before it released, okay? That game was announced in early May, and it dropped in mid-July. We don't have 2 months. If a game was announced today, 2 months later, that would be December 28th, and nobody's putting out a game right before we blow the kazoos for New Year's. I then looked at Kirby's Dream Buffet, if you remember that eShop title that arrived earlier this summer, and it was announced about 33 days before it came out. A very tight window. Now, remember, that's an eShop game. All signs point to Metroid Prime 1 Remastered coming out as a full $60 title. I suppose they could do something cuckoo. I suppose they could put it on the eShop, but that would be a more appropriate time frame. 33 days, announce it beginning of November, and it drops early December. That is totally doable. Does Nintendo view Metroid Prime as the same caliber as either a Paper Mario or a Kirby eShop title, or is it something bigger? Does Nintendo want to give more shine, more time, more pre-order space for Metroid Prime? Because the other option is March or beyond. Fire Emblem is in January. We know we got Octopath and Kirby in February. We got Zelda in May. So you got March and April. That seemed like a nice slot for Metroid. They could announce it early next year, or even at the Game Awards. Jeff Keighley, him and Nintendo do have history, and there has been some Metroid rumor stuff before tied to the TGAs. I could see that being plausible. I personally don't think Nintendo has the space to announce and release Metroid, but I also think it's odd that they're really just gonna sit pretty with Pokemon. I mean, delays have happened all over the industry. We know, like, hey, games get pushed, schedules get emptied. Xbox basically had no exclusives this entire year, yet next year is just jam-packed to the point that they'll probably raise the price of Game Pass around the launch of Starfield. Nintendo does have one other arrow in their quiver, and that arrow is a game that was already supposed to come out multiple times. Advance Wars 1+2 Reboot Camp could be our December title, and I think it's more likely that is the surprise instead of Metroid. I think Metroid at this point is probably going to be pushed to March. I feel like that would have been a great announcement for the last Direct. I think it would have really bolstered a Direct that felt kind of scattershot and really teased your early 2023 lineup. Why not have a preceding title like Metroid in there and then save, Kirby for down the road, or save Fire Emblem? Instead, they opted to go ahead with 2023, and that tells me that we're pretty much done with 2022 in terms of new titles. But Advance Wars is not new. Advance Wars has been a game that has seen a lot of turmoil, and Nintendo smartly decided to hold it back. Now, I think they can release the game. I don't think people directly tie Advance Wars to world scenarios. I know Nintendo wants to be cautious and courteous, and I appreciate that, but I think they could drop this thing and it would be okay. And everything I've heard has said Nintendo will just kind of shoot this one out. Like, there won't be a big marketing cycle, there won't be a big hype cycle, there won't be a big campaign. Some have said it may even just be an eShop release, which would be bonkers and very sad for that team, and also the potential future for a brand new Advance Wars. Anyhow, this is something that could be a November surprise. You could drop, in the same way they did for Paper Mario, a tweet and a trailer and say, Advance Wars release date. Show some new footage of the game, sizzle it up, and say, ta-da, it's coming December 3rd. That would make perfect sense to me, and I think is fitting for Nintendo to tie up their year. Remember when Xenoblade Chronicles was a big game at the end of the year? Well, we got Xenoblade Chronicles 3 this summer. We got Bayonetta 3 like right now, and so what fits? Maybe nothing, but I do feel like there is a slot and a spot, and the circumstance, the time, and the reasoning lines up for Advance Wars to drop. At least in my opinion, much more so than Metroid. We could get GoldenEye and Advance Wars, a lot of shooting action, for our December, and that could be what carries us into the holiday season, wraps up 2022, and then hey, let's see what Jeff Keighley has to say about Samus Aran in 2023. Let me know if that sounds like the most sensible plan to you. You think Nintendo is going to save a few surprises for November to come out in December, or you think they're going to hold off? I know there's some people that think, GoldenEye is 2023. I just don't buy that. I think GoldenEye definitely comes in 2022, and December is there. If it's not going to be Metroid, which probably won't be, Advance Wars seems like a good pick, and we could have another Nintendo title dropping in 2022 to just sweeten this year even more and provide another purchase before the holidays for people who either have beaten Pokemon, don't want Pokemon, or just are looking for something to spend their gift cards on. So let me know what you think about this in the comments down below. I'd love some surprises. Nintendo's kind of been quiet, like real quiet. So I feel like maybe they're gearing up. Sometimes when they're really quiet, they then have the biggest pop. All right, so let's talk about it in the comments down below. Have a fantastic rest of your day, everybody. I love you so much. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay happy, stay positive out there. And until next time, thanks again. SwitchForce out.